I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today with me I have the all-new Subaru Forester. A ton of you have written into the comments below asking for a detailed look at the Forester, and firstly, I'm really pleased to see that. If there's a particular video you're after, do let me know because I can pull strings to try and make it happen. Secondly, I totally understand why everyone's asking about the Forester, because Subarus just have a certain something about them, don't they? They feel a bit more adventurous, a bit more rugged, and they just tend to make good family cars that last for a while. The Forester competes in a really critical segment, either here in Australia or abroad. Mid-size SUVs, as we call them locally, are where it's at. And the Forester, the new Forester, arrives in a really competitive space. Vehicles like the Tiguan and the CX-5 in Australia really dominate. And this thing is looking to come in and disrupt that party. So I'm interested in seeing whether the all-new model has the chops to do it. Subaru are definitely confident. There's a 4-strong range, it's pretty affordable, and under the bonnet there's now just one engine, a 2.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol. Sadly, the turbo petrol XT is nowhere to be seen. Maybe it'll come back in future, especially with a turbo engine going into the Liberty. And the turbo diesel, that's been eliminated as well. The looks, they're certainly changed, and the rear end won't be to everybody's tastes, but I don't mind the front. But I think what everyone will be able to agree on is that the cabin of the new Forester is a good step forward from the vehicle it replaced. Because this thing shares a platform with the new Impreza and the new XV, there'll be no surprises that the cabin is very similar to those cars. However, there are some touches that are unique to the Forester. But the look is very much Subaru's new sort of corporate interior. And I think it presents well. You get a big 8-inch touchscreen on the higher end models of the Forester. This is a premium, second from the top. Above this, there's the 2.5i S grade. If you go lower end, you only get a 6.5-inch touchscreen. But either way, the system's really easy to use. You get navigation, DAB radio, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. You also get a further digital screen up top, which gives you more information on fuel consumption, safety, etc., and another color screen between analog gauges. So all in all, it feels decently techy. And there's a lot of tech going on this steering wheel. Lots of buttons on the front and even behind, so it might take a while to master all that. And that's the only thing that sort of differentiates away from a really clear cabin in the Forester. There's lots of big buttons, lots of dials. You know, it's an easy car to live with and to operate. Now, material quality is a bit of a mixed bag. The leather steering wheel just doesn't feel, you know, creamy or high end like that in a Volkswagen Tiguan. And while you do get soft touch surfaces, and all in all, it's a nice place to be, it does feel a little bit more workmanlike and everyday than, you know, something a bit more plush like a Mazda CX-5. So if you care about that, you can keep that in mind. No complaints about the seats, however. They're really comfortable and supportive, and I really appreciate the fact that you can get electric adjustment and memory in a fabric seat, because fabric just works way better in the hot Australian summer, which we're still in right now. As for practicality, it's a Subaru, so of course it's fine. 2 big cup holders between the seats, big tray as well, a further tray ahead of the shifter. Sadly no wireless charging, but at least there are 2 high-power USB ports up front, and also decent sized door bins. One thing you'll note is how tall this thing is, which means that there should be plenty of space in the back, which we can check out now, because you'll see that climbing in behind myself, I've just got heaps of room. Lots of headroom, heaps of leg room, and toe room's good. Plus, this back door, it opens virtually 90 degrees. The opening is massive, so fitting a child seat is pretty easy. Could be made a bit easier if the ISOFIX points were a little bit more exposed, but you know, that's slim pickings for complaints. It's decently comfortable as well back here. You get air vents, you get high-powered USB ports, and you get a flip-down armrest with 2 small cup holders. So very functional, and because the floor is almost flat, despite the standard all-wheel drive, this is a genuine 5-seat SUV. Some in this class, like say the Peugeot 3008 or the Mazda CX-5, they're more like 4-seaters. But what about luggage capacity? Because along with the big cabin space, the Forester also has a decent boot. The top 2 models have an electric tailgate. That's always a nice feature if you got your hands full. And space on offer is good. I'll take out the small Chasing Cars suitcase so you can get a better view. You know, it's nice and square. The lip is super low, well, the load height is super low, I should say. There's no lip, which means that you can slide objects straight in and out, very nice. There's a few different features back here, coat hooks, shopping bag hooks. You can lower the rear seat remotely from the boot, and it also has a cool function where once you've removed what you need, if you've got your hands full, you can press a button to actually lock the car and walk away from it. Nice and convenient. So what's the new Forester like to drive? Well, if you used to like Subarus back in the time when they were pretty small, pretty agile, and had, you know, sporty performance, unfortunately, the company has kind of left those days behind for now. But if what you're after is a really safe, easy vehicle to drive, super easy to see out of, you know, gets acceptable fuel economy, then the new Forester will be right up your alley, because what it is essentially a pretty conservative vehicle, dynamically speaking. Under the bonnet, as I mentioned up front in this video, there's only one option now, a 2.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol 4-cylinder, and that makes 136 kilowatts of power and 239 newton meters of torque. Now, the engine is definitely adequate. Like, very few people shopping in this class would need any more power than what the Forester delivers. It's just that it delivers that power with the character of a pretty old school, but now direct injected Atmo petrol. So it does need a good rev to get the best out of it. Compared to something like a Tiguan or a Peugeot 3008, which have plenty of low down torque, the Forester likes to be given the boot in order to get up and be motivated. But once you do that, the amount of motivation on offer is not bad. He'll do a 0 to 100 sprint in 9.1 seconds, if that's even relevant for a car like this. And of course, with the standard all-wheel drive, it's able to get everything to the road with no trouble. And in fact, the all-wheel drive system remains one of the big benefits of Forester and Subaru ownership in general, as it's seamless. It keeps the car gripping the road really well, and as you'll see from some of our footage which we've shot on gravel, this thing has absolutely no problem with tractability. The Forester now sits on Subaru's common platform, so that's what's also under the Impreza and the XV, and this is a good chassis, and you can actually feel that underneath the Forester's relatively sensible clothing and sensible engine and stuff like that, there is a nice chassis that could definitely be exploited by a possible XT model with a turbocharged engine. That said, the suspension setup on every single model in the range, it's common to all of them, is super soft and absolutely attuned towards comfort. So, you know, you can just bowl down a pockmarked road and the Forester absorbs all of those imperfections really nicely. That said, if you're looking for something that feels a bit more buttoned down or dynamic, you'll probably need to look elsewhere towards something like a Mazda CX-5, a Hyundai Tucson, the VW Tiguan, because the Forester does feel a little bit floaty and too softly damped for me, but most people shopping in this class will probably appreciate it. The steering's actually good. It's direct, you know where the front wheels are going to go, it's nice and predictable and linear, so high marks there. And the other thing is the noise. It's a decently refined vehicle, but that said, I think there's more road noise and more engine noise than some other rivals in this class, so make sure to test drive, always the most important thing, to see what works for you. Finally, on the safety front, the Forester is really good. Even the base model gets heaps of safety features, and although they're a little bit more sensitive than some other safety suites in the class, if you're after a family vehicle that'll detect obstacles around you, warn you about them with graphical and audible warnings, and help you avoid them, then the Subaru offering with the eyesight system here on the Forester is a really good way to go. Well, those are my impressions of the Subaru Forester. This is a really good all-in-one family car. It's super comfortable, it's plush, it's got lots of features, especially safety technology, which is what you'll really want if you're going to be putting kids into the car on a regular basis. No, it's not that exciting to drive. The engine and the gearbox are definitely nothing to write home about. So if you're after a sporty SUV, there are some options out there that will do the job a little bit more interestingly than a Forester, but for most people, this is a vehicle that just plain makes sense. And the fact that it's pretty affordable as well is a big selling point. Now, if you like this video, please like it down below, leave me a comment to let me know what you think of how we're going at Chasing Cars and what you think of the Subaru Forester, and subscribe so that you grab our latest detailed Australian car review that we post every single week. Thanks.